Hello, Ken Spriggs here with an unboxing and a review of the brand new Moebius 2001 A Space Odyssey Aries 1B model kit. Really happy about this kit. This has been a ship that I have long wanted to see a model of. The only other version that I've gotten is the smaller Stargazer model, which I haven't built yet, mainly because of some of the challenges involved in it because it's so small. But I really love this spaceship. I love the horizontal passenger section and the cockpit that's straight up and down, and you have the really cool red glowing cockpit lights in the top. So really happy to see that they've finally created one of these. I just received it today from Cult TV Man. Highly recommend them, and I'll put a link in the description. So check that out. But this is an amazing kit. It has a full interior for a passenger section and a cockpit. It's a really nice size. It's pretty much the same size as the very large EVA pod that I'm also working on. And very excited to build this kit. So let's go ahead and take a look. All right, so I'm doing an unboxing and a review of the brand new Moebius 2001 Aries 1B ship. Very, very awesome. Very excited to get this kit. I've been wanting a model of this for many, many, many years, since I was a young child, of course. So first of all, of course, here's the box. Really cool artwork on the front. I really like that. I'm trying to see, it almost looks like it's a picture of the model, but there's definitely some detail inside. It looks like a person inside, but I don't believe this comes with people. But that does look pretty cool. Now, the box itself, other than there's nothing on the bottom, as many of their other kits do. There's no kind of information. There is some information on the side panel. Sorry, hit the camera tripod. So it says fully detailed landing gear, detailed passenger and cockpit interior compartments, which they do, very, very cool, and retractable landing gear. So it can be fully retracted, and it's movable, obviously, and it comes out to be fully extended. So very cool. Very cool kit. Obviously, I had already opened it, but nothing on the sides either on this particular one. So the box itself is exactly the same size as the EVA pod box. If you have that kit, then you're familiar with what that has, the size of it. So it's a good size box for sure. So let's go ahead and take it out and take out the parts, and I'll show you what it looks like inside. All right, so right off the bat, you can see this really awesome top of the ship with the cockpit. It even has some detail, like some ridges right in here. There aren't any over here, but I guess that's probably the way it's supposed to be. Lots of really nice detailed panels, another detail on here. Very cool. Very nice indeed. Obviously openings for the different, I don't know I think that's like a rocket exhaust, that kind of thing. Here's the inside of it. So some detail on the inside too, but even though you're not really going to see it, I'm surprised that, well, I guess that's not detail. It's just the other side of the things out here. Sorry. But there's where the cockpit's going to go. And of course, there's a window that goes with that. Goes around it, so. All right, and then you have here's some of the engine parts, which from what I can tell already has a lot of extra detail that you add onto them, which is really cool. And then some other, obviously the other sprues. So let me go ahead and take these out, and we'll take a look at each of the sprue packets. All right, so I'm going to take each of these out of the plastic to show them off. Now, some of these parts I'm just kind of guesstimating because I'm not comparing it with the controls right now, or the instructions right now, but most of them are pretty straightforward and obvious. So this one here, obviously, you have your door, which is really cool. I like that detail because it does have the one door on the side of the ship. You have this piece here, which I believe comes down from the top, over top of the elevator, and this part's open, and I know there's a corresponding clear part, which I'll show here in a moment. So that's pretty cool. I think that's going to light up as well to help light it. I think these have to do with the engines. I'm not quite certain. This obviously is one of the inserts that go into the holes on the outside of the ship, like a rocket nozzle, something like that. This is the elevator for the center, which I think like the top of that goes into this piece here, I believe. Don't quote me on that. And some other smaller parts, I'm not quite sure, probably related to the engine. We'll see, or to the elevator. All right. Then this looks like, yep, it's the cockpit. Really cool. Nice size on this too. So here's the back wall with the door. And really cool. I like how, now these ones aren't open as far as lighting, but that would be pretty easy to do if you wanted to put some lights in there for the red. So same thing with like the ceiling panels or these side walls. But you have your stewardess seats, which look pretty small, but I know the stewardess was sitting behind the pilots. Then there's another front portion. Here's the pilot seats. Pretty cool. Looks like there's some extra detail that you're going to add into that. And then, of course, the side walls, which are kind of cool. All right. And I'm sure there's a control panel because there are some decals for that, and I'll show those here in a moment as well. So, all right, let me go on to the next sprue. All right, so this next set is 2 duplicated sprues for the interior, for the floor and the ceiling. So you have this piece here, which I'm guessing this is, I'm not sure which way it goes, to be honest. Obviously it goes down into where the engine's going as well, but it's 2 halves, so they go together to make the bottom, the floor. And then you have, this is the interior, the floor, obviously. It comes in 2 halves. Here's where the seats are going to go. You have your little steps with some nice detail on them. In this open area here where the elevator is, and then some more steps. And just half of the portions where you have the bathroom that goes over here on this area. So very cool. Some other parts on the sides here, which I believe are, yeah, they're like the side portions that go around the sides of the passenger section. And then the bottom of that, which obviously nothing you need to be looking at the detail. And then we have, well, first of all, here are the 2, and again, these are duplicated, which is cool. So you have this big ring, which obviously goes around the sides and accommodates those other pieces I just showed. This is the bathroom. There's 2 of them. They go on the ends. And then you have the ceiling. Now, I'm really happy with this ceiling because in the test shots that I saw online, they were showing that these openings, which are light panels, were all solid. And I was afraid they were going to go with a solid kit, which would have been really problematic because you'd have to cut every one of these out, put your own clear in it. They do come with clear inserts for every single one of these. Quite an extensive clear sprue, a whole sprue for that, which is going to make it a whole lot better. I'm really, really happy that they did that. The nice detail here. And so these are designed, and you can see how they're inset. So there's some nice, clear, smooth panels that go down into these. So you could light this. So I'm not quite sure how I'm going to do it. I was thinking more like strip lights, but more that I look at it, they're not that big. I may get away with a small light box and a like a mega SMD on that. So, all right, very cool. All right, so this next set are all together, and there's 3 that are the same. These 3 here, I believe they're the same. No, they're actually a little different. You can see like this detail here is a little different than this. Yeah, they're a little bit different. Let me check this one. Yeah, they're all different. So interesting. So 4 different panels. I thought some of these were repeated. The reason I thought that is because this one obviously has the door, which I showed just a moment ago. Door panel, which goes in there, which is pretty cool. But they all have these big openings here where the like retro rockets, those kind of things go there. But yeah, these are different. So yeah, definitely you can see like those panels there have some different detail on them. So that's nice. They didn't just duplicate that panel, so that's cool. So these are the 4 panels that go down around the make the bottom part of the sphere, and then obviously the rounded openings for the engine, for the legs and things like that. So yeah, looks like they have like a little groove connector like that, which is kind of cool. It's a nice solid connection. And I guess you would have to do something with that seam line, but that shouldn't be too bad. That's pretty straightforward and simple. So yeah, pretty cool. All right, so this next sprue, I'm going to leave it in the bag because I don't want them to get scratched. But this is the very nice full sprue of clear parts. Quite awesome. So you can see here are all of the larger ceiling panels for the passenger section. Here are the smaller ones that go into it. You have this panel here, which I showed. I think that's over top of the elevator. I'll have to look at it. That's also clear and lights up. This one is obviously the cockpit window. These ones down here are all the side passenger compartment windows. And then a really cool feature, these are the engine, the little engine, whatever you want to call them, the nozzles or whatever, they're clear. Really cool. So you could light these up, obviously, if you want to light the engines or just paint it. Now, I'm kind of looking because they're not really open per se. It's hard to see. Well, are they? Yeah, maybe they all are. Because the way it is, it's almost like tubes in the model. So they do have, like, they are inset. They're concaved. I'm just trying to see. It's hard. It doesn't look like the middle because on the back you have the opening in the middle, but the outer part is more solid. So I'll have to play with those and see. But definitely being clear, they are designed to be lit. So if you want to light up the engines, I don't believe we ever see them lit up in the film, but certainly you could do that if you wanted to. So really impressed with that. Very nice. I'm glad they did that with the overhead light panels for the passenger section and for the engines, and a really nice clear sprue for this kit. So fantastic. All right, so here we have some more repeating sprues that are, looks like 4 of this one and 4 of this one that come in one pack. So a lot of repeating parts. So this one obviously is well, parts of the engine enclosures and housings. We have, I'm not sure, that's probably part of it too. This is obviously the part that sticks out that has the retro rockets, which is cool. These other little panels which go on the sides of the ship around that. And then you have 2 parts for the seats. So the seats are kind of cool. So you have the seat, the main part of the seat, and then you have this insert part that goes in with the headrest in the back of the seat, which just goes into that little groove, which is kind of cool. Yeah. I'll have to look and see if they're different colors, because that would be cool to paint this a separate color and then put it inside this if they were separate. So that's kind of cool. Yeah. All right, so you got 4 of those. So obviously 6 chairs. So you got 24 chairs. There's a lot of chairs in this thing. Quite a lot for one person to be traveling to the moon on this spaceship that can hold like 24 passengers. So definitely kind of wild there. All right, and then we have this other set of sprues, which are also repeated, as I said. And these are a couple of things. You've got these side rib parts, which are for the passenger section, which go along the side. You've got these little cones. I think these are for the retro rockets on the sides. You have these big 6-sided parts, which are for the engine nozzles. Really cool. Some nice ridge detail inside of them. Very nicely done. And you have this big round piece here, which goes in the center for that big rounded part that comes from it. So that's kind of cool. Some more of these. I think this one's larger. I think this one is the same size as the other sprue. And then some more side pieces over here. Sorry, I keep getting it out of frame. All right. Okay, so that's pretty cool. All right, then the last sprue pack has a set of 4 repeating, very large ones as you can see, of 4 repeating sprues, which have, looks like all of the landing gear that repeats. A lot of parts to this, and it's really nice because it is retractable and movable, so there's parts that you don't glue together. So you have like these pieces here which connect together and go into the ship, and then they would still move. These parts here, this kind of thing. Of course, you have this piece which covers it, and a lot of little detail that goes on top of them, including this here. You got like these tank parts which go around those engine parts at the bottom, these different pieces. This looks like the landing feet. And again, a bunch of little pieces. That's the back of it. That wouldn't be the same. But yeah, a bunch of little pieces that you're going to add into it and give it some detail. I'll show you in the instructions when I show it how you have to add in a bunch of little parts for that engine. So definitely very detailed for the landing legs. Very, very cool. All right, and then finally we have the instructions, but we also have some decals, which are really cool. Let me kind of show you here. So you've got mostly just interior decals for the controls and some caution things. Here's like the controls for the pilot area, some down here. I'm not sure what these things are off of the instructions, but one they did include, which I think is really funny and I really like a lot, which I'm pretty sure it's what this is. I know it is. It's the zero gravity toilet instructions. I don't think you can read that. Hold on, let me get closer on this. Sorry. It's upside down. It's hard for me to even read it up close, but I can see it better with the camera. Yes, zero gravity toilet. Now you can read where it says that, and I can barely make out underneath that, but you can't read any of the actual instructions, of course. But I think that's hilarious. I mean, that was a humorous scene in the film where he's sitting there reading these pensively before he used the bathroom. So there's bathrooms on either side of the passenger section, and on the entrance door there's the zero gravity toilet instruction. So I thought that was really cool. So all right, so let's go ahead and take a look at the instructions. All right, and then finally here are the instructions. It's a pretty thick booklet, quite involved for this. So let me see if I can make sure I get that all in frame. All right, so it starts with the landing gear, and they're very extensive, the landing gear and the engines. You kind of build this from the bottom up. So you start with building the various parts of that, and these have to be attached inside before you can glue anything else above it, because they're going to be kind of encased inside of there, from what I can tell. And obviously parts of these you're not going to be gluing in place, so that they pivot up and down and things like that. And you have all these other parts and that kind of thing. All right, and then here's what I was talking about. So here is, I don't think I showed those actually. So there's 4 of these parts that are part of each of the 4 engines as well. And so they have these parts that glue on top of them and that add to it. And then you put a whole lot of little greeblies onto these as well, which is really cool. So you really detail this out a lot, which is pretty awesome. And then they show how these get put onto these sections down here, of course. And as you can see, you have to have the landing gear already in place before you add those on. And I'm sure I'll go over more of that once I start building this kit. But then those are going to go onto that big giant bottom plate. Yeah, and you can see how much more complex this gets as you go. It's very detailed, very highly detailed model. Again, one of the reasons why I've always wanted this kit, because it's so awesome. It's pretty cool looking. I really love the design too, with how the cockpit is facing straight up in the red cockpit windows in the passenger section. So I'm really thrilled with the fact that they've gone with a full interior, which is amazing as well. Yeah, so once you get all this all put together with most of the landing gear, then you still put on more parts and build even further. And then there's your clear engine inserts that go inside of the little engine bells. Looks like a couple of pieces for those. And there's a hole there, so you could definitely put a light up through there and light that engine if you wanted to. That would be pretty easy. And some of these other parts which go along the sides, or in the center actually. This piece is in the center. There's like a cone shaped, not a cone, cylindrical shaped thing. So yeah, so very involved for the engines. And then you complete the rest of it with the other parts that extend out with the landing gear and the landing pads onto the base. So probably you'd build the entire bottom base and have it able to be, self-standing, like you see right here, before you put any of the outer walls or anything else onto it. Yeah, so that whole part is a big sub-assembly and all done before you're ready to go ahead and do anything else. Plus a ton of room. You can see right down through these big holes. You have plenty of room if you want to light those engines. No problem at all getting some lights done into there to make that work out. So yeah, so very cool. Definitely very cool. And we're already up to 13 steps, as you can see. All right. Then you have your external pieces. So your side thrusters with the little rocket engine cones on it. These pieces which go onto there. And these are cool too that they're separate. You could paint those. I think those are black. I have to double check. I don't think they are on this one. I think we have those types of designs on the pod, the EVA pod, that's black. But I don't know that these are. I think I just saw recently that those are white as well. We'll have to see. But that's pretty cool. So you start adding that side pieces on. You do the extended covers of those and add those into it. And then that cover assembly gets put over top of the engines. Then you start working on the interior, and you have all those chairs, which isn't too bad to do. Just a lot of painting. You got your two halves of the passenger section. You have your wall pieces, which all go around the sides, which is kind of cool. All right. Yeah, then when you get that all done, as another sub-assembly, that whole piece goes right down inside of it. So if you wanted to do batteries, I see no problem at all why you wouldn't have a ton of room in here to do batteries. How you would get to them, another question. I believe it's designed that the whole top is supposed to come off so you can see the passenger section inside. So I don't know if that would lend itself to have this part come out, but we'll have to see. I'll have to play with that. Then you have the cockpit and the various parts of that going together. Or no, I'm sorry, I take it back. There's a wall with a TV on it, the walls with the lights and walls with the toilets. So that's part of the passenger section. Yeah, here you go. So you have these different sections here, which all build up, and they go down onto, looks like there's a ring. Yeah, okay, here we go. There's a two-part ring, which all of this, I'm gonna have to take a look and see. But it looks like maybe the windows are also incorporated in this. And then that part's probably all on the top. I'll have to see. because that's all separate from the bottom, as you can see. So it looks like this is all going to go together as an assembly, and they have these big posts that go in. So it looks like this doesn't actually have any tabs necessarily that go down. It might just basically sit on top of it. We'll have to see how that works. All right. No, actually no. It looks like it is definitely going down into that part of it. So it looks like the ceiling is all going to be a separate thing, and then the top. Yeah, okay. So then you're going to put the elevator in the middle. You're going to have the 2 bathrooms on either side, which go in there. And then here's the cockpit. Yeah, so you have the back part of it, the front with the pilots, the 2 sides. You have some parts here that go between it for the window. You have the roof, which is nice. Some little controls, which are kind of cool. Very, very nice. Very, very nice. There's that cockpit window I mentioned. Yeah, then the ceiling comes in 2 parts. Hoping because of the ridge design that you're not going to have an issue with any kind of a seam. It's probably not the kind of thing I'd want to fuss with anyway. You're not really going to see it that much on the inside of it. All of your clear inserts. You have your entire roof, the top of the ship actually, which goes on top. The cockpit, of course, has to go inside. So again, should have plenty of room in here to be able to put lights in for the cockpit for sure, and have that in there. So really, all the lights are going to be in the top, because you have the ceiling lights which shine down. You have the cockpit light. So unless you do engine lights, all the lights are going to be contained up here at the top. So I'm wondering if there's some way to work that out. I mean, it wouldn't be too hard to put a port into this part here somewhere, unobtrusive, and you could even disguise it so that you could plug an AC adapter into this and have all the lights self-contained in this section here. Kind of looks like a bowling ball, if you wanna, But yeah, that might be the way to go. We'll have to play with it and see. But yeah, all the lights could be totally contained in this whole upper section, since you're going to have your cockpit and you're going to have the ceiling facing down. And that way, you could easily have that separated. The question would just be whether you worked out some way to do batteries, but that would be hard. All right, but we'll play with it and see. And of course, I didn't really show this too much except in the beginning when I opened the kit up, but there's the top section, very nicely detailed. Very cool. Very cool indeed. All right. Yeah, so then obviously this whole top will be one whole sub-assembly. It'll fit down onto the passenger section, and you don't have to necessarily glue that in place, but that would be removable so you could see the passenger section. Yeah, and then likewise, and there's that part I was talking about. Yeah, so this is actually, this part here has this clear ring, and this goes in the center of the ceiling, and it goes up above, over top of the elevator, which would go in the center of that. So there's obviously lights there too. So again, a part of that light. And it looks like, yeah, it looks like you have interior walls on the top as well that are separate. Yeah, and then in the end, you end up with these 2 parts. Let's see. Legs. I'm just looking to see if it tells you if this has to be attached. So what it's saying is basically, don't have the legs put out. When you press this down on it, you might break the legs. It's not really, it can hold the weight of it, but it's not designed to be putting too much pressure. It says, do not use landing gear to support lower body assembly when installing top dome assembly. Support lower body assembly by the engine thrusters when installing top dome assembly. Do not press down on assembled model or landing gear legs, as it may result in damage to the landing gear linkages. Landing gear legs are only designed to support the weight of the assembled model. Any excessive force may damage the linkage. So it can stand up on its own, but you wouldn't want to be pressing that down too much. And I can see there's obviously some keyed pegs for it, but I would imagine it would have to be removable so you can look inside. All right. And then it has a whole page on how to deploy the landing gear, how they're movable, how they work. Pretty cool. And then we have some nice color call outs. We have the different colors. Looks like a lot of the chairs in the surrounding walls are mustard yellow. You have a dark gray on the inside, a light gray on the outside. You got some off-white, some black. These are supposed to be TVs, I guess. Again, dark gray on the floor. Pretty basic pattern, not too bad. Yeah. And of course, you know, the outer ship is going to be paneled and that sort of thing. I definitely want to see Aztec Dummy Lou Dalmasso build this, because I hope he builds some kind of masking, make some kind of masking set to mask off and paint different colors like you would the Discovery, because definitely I want to go that route on this. They give you some color call outs and some decals for the cockpit, which is supposed to be like a tan, some off-white, some light gray. Looks like black seats up here. And then of course like the outside of it for the ship itself. So pretty cool, very, very cool. And the back just gives you some ideas of the rest, which really, really happy with Moebius, really happy with all the wonderful kits that they've come out with for 2001. One of my favorite properties and definitely some of my favorite spaceships of all time. So really, really happy with this. And what else did I want to mention on that? Oh, I want to see about getting some figures for this to put into the cockpit in the passenger section, and I can augment them. So it's 1/48 scale, so that should probably not be too difficult. I mean, a lot of military figures are in 1/48, so I could certainly get those and modify them. And, you know, Haywood Floyd, you have the two stewardesses, even have them near the windows, and see if they're visible through the windows. Obviously the pilots in the cockpit, which would be pretty cool. So that would be pretty cool too. I imagine somebody will probably be doing some aftermarket parts as well. So, all right, so a fantastic kit for sure. I'm really, really pleased with this. The only thing that I can say that my only complaint about this kit, and it's a really minor little thing, is that the cockpit panels in the sides and in the top that could be lit to light the cockpit are solid plastic, so they didn't make those clear as well. But they're so small, and it's such a small little area, I have no problem with cutting those out. I was afraid, as I said, that they were going to do that with the passenger section, with all of those lights in the top, and there's quite a bit of them. So I'm very happy that they made those clear parts. Also happy that they made the clear parts for the engines. I may even consider lighting those up. So really pleased with this kit. It's really well done, and I think it's going to be fantastic. So I will be starting this soon and start building it. I want to get it done in time for Wonderfest. I'm also continuing on my work on the larger EVA pod, and I'll be posting a video very soon on the progress that I've made on that also. And I also have a little side project, not a side project, I don't want to call it that at all. It's another commission, but it's a smaller commission. And I'm debating about whether I want to film it or not, so we'll see. But I may be uploading a video on that as well. So look forward to that. If you see one, then I decided to upload a video. If not, then I didn't. It's a project that I've built before, but I'm building another version of it for someone else, and it's a smaller build. So, but I'm also working on that. So thank you to all my new subscribers. A lot of really cool stuff continues to come. So stay tuned.